let me share just very quickly a brief thought about Mother's Day while they're taking their seats. In 2 Kings chapter 4, if you've got your Bibles, and ladies, you guys can come on up. You whatever seat you want. Y'all get to decide. I don't care. It's your day. But if you've got your Bibles, I don't have this on the slides, so you'll have to grab a Bible in front of you or pull it up on your phone. But in 2 Kings chapter 4, Elisha is in the area, and it says, the wife of a man from the company of the prophets cried out to Elisha, "Your servant, my husband, is dead. And you know that he revered the Lord. But now his creditor is coming to take my 2 boys as his slaves." That was common practice back in these days, that if you owed a debt, they'd take your kids as payment. I'm so thankful they don't do that anymore. Amen. Well, okay, some of y'all need your kids. All right, well, look, if you need them to come do some work, all right, you can send them my way. But that had to be a terrifying place for this mother, right? She's just lost her husband. She's got 2 boys, and now she's faced with losing those 2 boys. And so she's crying out to Elisha, and Elisha goes, "How can I help you?" Right? What am I supposed to do? Tell me, what do you have in your house? Now, come on, that'll preach all by itself. As I asked these ladies to join me this week, what I kept hearing was, "Well, I don't have a whole lot. I don't know what I have that I could share." And I'm like, you guys have been moms for a long time, in some cases. Sorry about that. But you've gone through some things and you've seen some things. And I think it's important to hear other perspectives and to hear what God has placed into other people. And so this mom in 2 Kings says, "Your servant has nothing there at all." Nothing. And she goes, "Well, except a small jar of olive oil." You might feel like you don't have a whole lot. You guys might not feel like you have a whole lot. Maybe all you feel like is you just got a little tiny jar of oil, and that's it. And you're up the creek, and you don't have enough, or you're not enough for your kids, or whatever. And this goes past moms. I'm talking to moms, but this goes past moms too. Maybe just you as a person, you don't feel like you're good enough, you don't have enough. Elisha told her, "Go around and ask all your neighbors for empty jars. Don't ask for just a few." Don't ask for just a few. "Then go inside, shut the door behind you and your sons, and pour the oil into all the jars. And as each is filled, put it to one side." She left him, shut the door behind her and her sons. They brought the jars to her. She kept pouring. And when all the jars were full, she said to her son, "Bring me another one." Man, you got to imagine that first one. She's like, "You have got to be kidding me. All I've got is this little tiny jar of oil, and I'm going to pour it in, and it's going to coat the bottom of this next jar, and I'm going to be done." Can you imagine? She pours, and it keeps coming. And she stops. "Bring me that next one." Pour. "Bring me another one." Pour. Sometimes we don't feel like we have a whole lot, but when we give it to God, it's more than enough. Whatever you have, whatever He's given you, whatever He's provided is more than enough. And she poured, and she poured, and she poured. And when she said, "Bring me another one," he replied, "There's not a jar left." Then the oil stopped flowing. She went and told the man of God, and he said, "Go sell the oil, pay your debts. You and your sons can live on what's left." God didn't provide just enough in that moment. He provided more than enough. When we give it all to God, He'll provide more than enough. It's up to us to gather the opportunities, though. If they would have just gathered 5 jars, there'd only been 5 jars of oil. If they could have found one more jar somewhere in the village, there'd have been one more jar of oil. As long as there was an empty vessel to be poured into, the oil was available. No matter what God's given you, it's enough. And if we seek out opportunities to pour into other people, He will allow us to keep pouring and keep pouring and keep pouring. That fountain, that river of living water will flow out of us, and we'll accomplish everything that He has for us. So you may not feel like you have a whole lot, but I am trusting that there is a whole lot here today. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this microphone that I forgot to grab a minute ago. And I'm going to turn it on because this one's funny. You got to unscrew it, do a dance, and turn your head sideways, and then unmute it, turn it upside down. Everybody here, you got it. I'm just kidding. I had you for a second. All right, so I've shared most of these questions with most of these ladies, but I may have a couple that you don't know about. Don't be scared. They're good. They're good questions. Sometimes I just want to get an honest answer out of somebody and see what they said they really say. Also, we've already got one person signed up for the Costa Rica trip, so they sent me an email. So we got one down. If you better hurry up. It's going fast. We're not even out of service yet, and you're already signing up. Come on, somebody. All right. So that's all I had to say. Now I want to hear from these guys. So you all don't have to answer every question, but if you've got something to say, you say it. Okay? So the first question, how did becoming a mother change or deepen your understanding of God's love for you? Oh, come on.
All right. When you first become a mother, you go through all of those pains, and then all of a sudden, they hand you your baby. And I don't care what that baby looks like. That is the most beautiful creation. Am I right? It's the most beautiful creation you have ever seen in your life. And immediately, you're just filled with so much love for that child. Is that child going to be perfect? No. Are they ever going to make mistakes? Probably. But you know what? When you're a mom, you love that child anyway. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't matter what they do. You still love them. And it makes you realize, how much more does God love us? Sometimes we screw up. Sometimes we really mess up bad. Mm-hmm. But He still loves us. No. It's that unconditional love that He has for us. So,
come on.
Well, wasn't sure I was going to be able to follow that up.
I just heard that I was an ugly, imperfect baby. That's what I heard. I don't know. I'm just kidding. No, I'm kidding.
I think it also gives you that opportunity to understand the unconditional love. Mm. Being that mom of the adult now, you have to show up even when they screw up. You show up because you want them to call you. And even when the world is falling apart, you want them to call you.
That's right.
Whether you're going to look at them like they're crazy or whatever the case may be, you want them to call you. And I think that's where you start transitioning when you have this little one, because they know you're going to come.
Right.
But as they get older, knowing that you're going to come, regardless of what the issue is, that you show up. And I think that's where you want to find yourself, showing that unconditional love, because that's what God shows us.
Come on.
Even at our lowest moments, you want that person to show up for you. And right. I think that's, for me, where I'm at in my journey on motherhood.
Come on.
I mean, very much so the same. Once you get your baby in your arms, you can't fathom loving anything anymore. And it's just so, you can't not. You can't not. But for me, one thing that has been really revelational. It doesn't exactly apply to the question, but like the wonder that you get to experience coming out of your child's mouth and face. They see things and are still so, they don't have the distracted blindfold on that we tend to get as we age.
Right.
And you get this new, deeper understanding again of how much God loves us in every single teeny tiny detail by hearing them notice it and ask you about it. I know some of the things that comes out of Zila just breaks my brain in the biggest way. And then I'm stuck running to the Bible trying to answer her questions. But that like, it helps you understand, like she just loves everything. And Nico still, I mean, he doesn't talk a whole lot, but even when he looks around, he just sees things and gets excited and just loves every aspect of life. Yep. And it's just like, oh, wow, God is in literally every little detail, and you just feel this deeper level that you forget to lean into. Yeah, to me, it's the biggest privilege in the whole world to get to hear that wonder come out of your child.
Yeah, absolutely. You talked about having to go back to the scriptures. Maybe one or two of you, are there any scriptures or promises that, like, when you're in the trenches of motherhood and things are tough, anything that you run back to and hold on to that's helped sustain you through all the phases of motherhood?
Mine is Psalms 46:10. In my head, I'm always saying breathe, because I think you're so wrapped up, whether you have anxiety or whatever is going on. It's that moment to collect yourself and sit in the moment and just let it be, because sometimes we're overthinking, overdoing, and not just stopping and collecting ourselves and putting ourselves back together. So in our house, I say breathe. But that's the scripture that's going through my head, because we need to just regroup, really think about this, and ask ourselves, is this worth it? And even when you have a little kid, you can ask that question, like, okay, you can go to your room and have this big emotion. That's right. And let's come back and talk about it. But I think sometimes we want to forget that kids have emotions. Let them have those emotions. Right. It's okay. We need to teach our kids how to have those emotions and how to overcome some of those things, because a lot of times as adults, we don't know what to do. And then we put that same I don't know on the kids. Let them have those emotions, but also teach them, okay, what are we going to do next? Because you can't live here.
That's right.
So let's take a moment, let's gather our thoughts, let's gather our emotions. Now what's the next step? And move forward that way. But I do think that's our big thing in our house is breathe.
Come on.
Let's be still a moment and figure out what we're going to do next. Now, sometimes it doesn't work personally, but I try. I try.
We need to remember that as adults too, right? That just taking a moment.
One verse that I always went to was Philippians 4:6. Do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation, by prayer and petition, with thanksgiving, present your requests to God. And then I just looked at the New Living Translation. I don't a lot of times, but that one said, don't worry about anything. Instead, pray about everything. Tell God what you need and thank Him for all He has done. And that helps a lot.
Amen.
I know I go back to Psalms 23 a lot. Mainly, it's one of those ones that you just have memorized in your head, and I'm not good at listing verses or which one is what or anything like that, but I know there's so many times in that verse where it says, He restores my soul. Yeah. He leads me beside still waters. And that's a really important reminder for me, because I'm that type of person that likes to feel like I've got my life together. I've got it under control, but I don't. And reminding myself that He is where I get everything from is well, it's like my reset button.
That's it, yeah, absolutely. Speaking of resets, and this isn't super spiritual, but I'm just curious, what's a hobby that you might want to pick up again, something maybe you did as a kid or something that you want to just go do to have like a moment to yourself? Oh yeah, I'm springing it on them. They have no idea. Do you do any hobbies? You have any?
I know when Evan got older, especially when we started doing sports, I started reading again, and I would carry the book in my bag, and you sitting on the side of the football field, and okay, I got 30 minutes or an hour or whatever, I can read. And it was funny because I remember carrying this big bag around because I had like 2 or 3 books, I was reading. And then, of course, now you got all these devices and stuff. But it was so cool to have that moment where it wasn't about anything else. Somebody else was taking care of him. And you're just trying to listen out and make sure he's not screaming your name or,
Right.
something bad happened during
Right.
practice. But that was the cool thing, to be able to just have that moment where it wasn't about anything else going on. And so that was my hobby.
One of my favorite hobbies I started probably 20 years ago, and it's scrapbooking. And I have not done that for a long time, and I really want to get back to that. It's a way for me to relax. I'm not normally a creative person, but when I start doing that, I find that my creativity comes out. It's a great way to document your family history, and then you can pass that on to your children, and hopefully they'll want to see it, and then they can pass it on to their children, if so. But I mean, it's a great way just to document that history and revisit the memories that you had.
I know as a child, I used to read a lot. It was mandatory. And I enjoyed it. It was like an escape to, and you learned, and I loved it. Not something I do a whole lot of now. I would like to get back to that because I have heard that the way to teach your children to love to read is to let them see you reading.
Yeah.
But it's really hard to read while you're trying to make sure that they don't kill each other or themselves. So I crochet instead because I can watch them and do that at the same time, and I have something productive made at the end. My husband does indeed complain about my yarn hobby and storing it. But reading, I would like to get back into.
There we go. All right, so we got a consensus on reading. Oh, my goodness. What is maybe one of the best pieces of advice, spiritual advice or motherhood advice that you ever got? Just like a quick little something, anything? Did anybody give you advice? Did you get thrown out there to the wolves by yourself?
I know a really impactful piece of advice that I got was let your children hear you pray out loud. Because, and that was something that I've had to really try to practice and be mindful of because I'm so used to just praying in my head.
Yeah.
But letting them hear you pray out loud, it teaches them how. And it solidifies that you're not, you're talking to God and He's real. He's somebody that you can just talk to. And I know that was something that was told to me, and that's something that I've really clinged to and tried to practice. And now hearing it come out of Zila, where she'll just randomly start praying something and pray about the most random things that I know she absolutely came up with by herself because she's heard prayers.
Mine was patience and a schedule.
There you go.
I naturally don't have patience, but for some reason, like you said, they give you this child and you got to have patience and you got to, can't rush you along because you're having a moment or what have you, but patience and a schedule was I think for 15 years I lived by it. But I had no patience for anything or anybody else, but he could come along and I could give him everything that I had and more. And so that was funny to me because it was like I would be rolling my eyes when it was somebody else in the same moment. It was like, move along, move along. But he could settle me. And I thought that was funny. But yeah, I will tell you the flip side of having a kid that you put on a schedule when you go on vacation, he's still on the schedule. So you got to figure that out. And we were lucky. Our Ernest's mom would go with us on vacation, so it was like a miracle worker. Because she was like, oh, I'll stay here with him. I'll do this. So that, with this schedule. But this schedule was one that I think that helped because it took away some of the anxiety of what's going to happen. We knew what was going to happen. At 7 o'clock, we're going to do this at night. Right. 8 to 9 was quiet time in our house. So that was one of those things that we did, but it was a constant, every day we did this. And so, but yeah, it will hurt you in the long run. Yeah, quiet time was a big one. You will love quiet time.
Oh my goodness.
Well, I did not have a lot of motherly input when I had my child. It's like, congratulations, have fun, and it's kind of like you're on your own. There's a lot of things you just have to figure out. Sometimes I think I did okay, and other times I did not do so well. But I remember going through one time when Sean was little, and I worried. It was when I would drop him off at school. He would get really, really anxious. And Cindy Hartline would tell me, Mama, it's okay. I've seen this before. Mm-hmm. Give him a couple of weeks. He's going to be just fine. And he was. And then there came the day when I'd go to drop him off, and he'd say, bye, Mom. And he's off. And I'm like, no hug. What happened? So I am grateful for the input that she gave me. So
I think I'm second guessing bringing my mom up here. I forgot that she's going to tell stories about me. Maybe should have thought of that. Well, speaking of that, what's maybe the worst advice you ever got as a mom? Because there's value in both. Sometimes you need to know what bad advice is.
I always look at I feel like you have to parent the kid. And some things don't work. My kid, somebody said, oh, take the toys away. And we took all the toys out of his room. He was on punishment for something. I kid you not, he played with his shoelaces. We forgot that we had even put the toys in this plastic container or in the closet. I mean, it was like a nightmare for us because it didn't faze him whatsoever. So it was that realization that you have to parent your kid. Like, you can get all the advice in the world, but you get that kid that does not even faze them. But yeah, he was playing in his room with his shoelaces. So that was a fail. So
there you go. All right.
Yeah, it was not.
So don't take the toys away.
Right, yeah, toys didn't matter. He was playing with his shoelaces. So.
Oh my goodness.
I try really hard to just not pay attention to those things. So I try to delete them from my head. But I know I do hear, and I know every single one of you could almost say this script, just wait until. People are always saying that to you, just wait until. And I really loved embracing whatever phase my children are currently in. Mm-hmm. I get so excited when they learn something new or grow into a new clothing size, but just wait. It's so depressing. It's like, why? They're really cool right now.
That's right. Oh, goodness.
You'll have moments where you're just like, yeah, they're not cool.
See, there's good advice happening right here already.
I love this. I'm just...
All right, so this one's just fun. rapid fire. Would you rather have a 5-minute coffee break or 10 minutes of silence?
Silence. Is the coffee hot?
That says everything it needs to say right there.
I can't tell you.
It's however you like your coffee, hot, iced.
Coffee while it's still hot. Or Nico's trying to drink it.
Oh, it's a little early. So silence, coffee, if it's hot.
My first instinct was coffee, and then I rethought it, and just having even 5 minutes, just 5 minutes of quiet to get your head back together, to regroup and reset. And yeah, I think I'd
Fair
go with the
enough.
5 minutes.
Okay. This might be the wrong audience. Anybody have kids or grandkids that watch Bluey? Okay, a couple. All right, so it's going to be a swing and a miss here. If you guys watch the episodes with them, there's one where Chili, Bluey's mom, just needs 20 minutes by herself. And so Bandit is trying to like wrangle the kids and not ever let them get to their mom. And they're all like, well, why doesn't mom want to be with us? And he's like, no, it's okay. They finally realize, no, she just needs 20 minutes of quiet, and then she's going to be reset and good to go. So it sounds like the quiet might be the 2/3 majority here, but coffee is a close second. So, all right. I've got a couple more things, but I want to, I'll cut a couple of these for time because I know we're running short here. And it's Mother's Day, so you guys need to go celebrate your moms, and you guys need to be celebrated. Without getting too deep, I know that each of you have faced some sort of challenge as a mom in one way or another. In a nutshell, and I know you could probably talk for hours on this, how did God help you guys navigate through those really low moments and those maybe some of those scary moments of being a mom?
Humility and surrender. When you can't fix it, you have no choice but to give it to God.
Yeah.
And that's the hard part. I am a Excel, I can put on a spreadsheet and I can physically see the moving parts. But when you can't do that and you have no control over it, it's knowing that humility and that surrender.
Yeah.
And you have to pass it on. But it wasn't the passing on, it was the being okay with whatever the outcome is.
Wow.
Because you have no control over the outcome, and that's where the spreadsheets don't matter.
Right.
It doesn't matter about any of that. It's all in God's hands. And so that was where I think you have to understand it's the outcome.
Yeah.
You have no control over it, and you got to let that sit in your heart and be okay with whatever that outcome is. And I think that tells you on another level of where your faith is that I didn't think I had. And that was that moment of wait.
Yeah.
That's what they're talking about, because you got to look at on the other side of this being okay with that decision, because you've given it to him.
Yeah.
And the only thing you can do is say, okay, I'll figure out how to live this way. But I think that was the hardest thing, was the humility and surrender, but understanding what comes after that.
Yeah. That's good.
I had put it more in the aspect of trust, but it's the same thing. You as they get older, you have no control over those things, and you have to trust God, and you have to just give it to him. But as you said, no matter what the outcome, you've got to be okay with that. And a lot of times I would think, if you train up a child in the way he should go, when he gets older, he'll never depart from it. And I said, God, this is what you told me. You promised me, and that's your word. And he was a really good kid, but you know, there's still going to be things that you worry about, and and you just, I like the way you put it. So.
Yeah.
I know one way that God has really helped us. There have been, of course, some phases where you go through the dark depression, the overwhelm where you can't see out. And God sends people into your life that don't judge you. They see you where you are. They help pull you out of it. There's all of you ladies in this church. There's many of you that have been that encouragement to me. You all know who you are. And from anything from come and helping me clean my house to just sitting down for a heart-to-heart or sending a text message, checking in, like, hey, I'm thinking about you. Are you okay? And that has been the biggest blessing from God, is that village of knowing you're not alone when you're going through any challenge. And sometimes you need to be that person, but sometimes you can't be. And when you can't be, being able to lean on someone else has just, I cannot tell you how many times ladies in this church have blessed me. And just from something simple to something really hard. And I've really felt loved through all of that. And that's how I feel God has been able to help me overcome a lot of stuff.
Yeah, amen. In those difficult seasons, how did you guys prioritize your marriage and make sure that relationship, even when the chaos is going on and the kids are being crazy and you're going through difficult things, maybe one piece of advice or something that helped you prioritize your marriage during those times? Or did you? Or were we still working on that? I don't know. Well, there's the next series we're doing. No. Just kidding.
Yeah, I think I'm still a work in progress.
Oh, we all are.
But we plan date nights.
Yeah.
Even if it's just to go have appetizers someplace. Yeah. Our new thing is we sit outside, listen to music. Sometimes I can get Ernest to cook.
Oh, come on now.
But we just sit outside and have this, we can talk or not talk, but just be. And it's peaceful. Together. And I think that is it's a different peace that I think sometimes people think, oh, you have to talk, but sometimes I just like that peace where we're just there together. And you don't have all of the crazy. And the way our driveway sits, most people don't even know we're sitting in the driveway now. So it's beautiful. Like you see all the happenings, but people don't know you're there. So, but yeah, I think just creating certain little moments, but they don't have to be extravagant. Right.
That's good.
I am not perfect. It's a learning experience, but I am learning because my husband does not like to communicate. If there's any disagreement, he just wants to just let it go. But he's learning too. It's important to communicate, to share your feelings. I have learned that I am trying to focus on me and what I need to change, because a lot of times the way I react affects how he reacts. I'm trying to remember to thank him for things he does for me. He gets up every morning. He does not like coffee at all, hates it. Loves the smell of it, but he does not like the taste. He gets up every morning and makes my coffee. And, to thank him for that. A lot of times I get busy and I forget to thank him, but he'll always say, was your coffee okay? And I'm like, I'm sorry, it was fantastic. So it's just little things. It's just the little things. You get so busy when you become a mom, you don't always take time for those. But take time to thank them for the little things they do or the big things that they do. Take time to pay attention to them. You're busy trying to get a project finished, and they ask you a question, and you're like, give me a minute. But if you just take time and say, just stop and look at them and listen, really listen, not just like, I'm listening till you get done, but really listen to them. Those kind of things have helped me through.
Good deal.
Oh, I'm not good at this one.
That's okay.
But I feel like I love my husband so much. He is such a kind and loving and wonderful father. And he tag teams with me so well. I know at any point in time, I can just be like, I'm about to kill, tag. And then the kid, and he'll be like, I'm in. We have a really good system like that. And that is helpful. But it is really, that is something I do struggle with, is making sure that I do take time to be intentional with making sure that he feels like he is still the light of my life and important. That is differently. Learning, remembering what his love language is a big one. Knowing my words have a huge impact. Because he's a words of affirmation person. And PDA, I'm sorry, I was trained growing up that was not okay. But letting my husband give me a hug or something like that, even in front of the kids, was something that really was hard for me, and it still is something that I'm trying to be mindful of. But I realized that they need to see that.
Yeah.
The kids need to see what loving each other is like. They need to see that I adore my husband. They should, I want to have the kind of marriage that they want to go out and find.
That's right.
So I don't do well at that at all, but I'm trying.
Well, and look at the different generations too. You've got little kids.
Yeah, finding time is really hard.
You guys have grown kids and then grandkids. It's different at different stages in life, and so that's not a knock against anybody. Hannah and I struggle with the same thing. Every once in a while she goes, hey, we just need to go on a date.
Yes.
And I go, yes, ma'am. I go, hey, Mom, can you watch the boys?
Yes,
And that's how that works. Yeah, so you got to, it really does take a village, and you got to lean into that.
Flash our lights at each other.
Flash your lights at each other?
Because he worked nights. And so when I would be coming home and he would be leaving, we would flash our lights at each other. Because that was the only time we saw one another some days.
Oh, wow.
Look at that.
Yeah, so we would be passing one another and we would flash our lights at each other.
You find the little moments.
Right, that was all we had sometimes. But yeah, it's...
Because that was probably before text messaging, right?
Yeah.
No, sorry.
Well,
Oh, my bad. I'm sorry.
it was.
I'm sorry.
I'm going to let you go with that.
Well, I mean, I'm old enough to remember before text messaging, barely.
It was before,
You had to do what you had to do.
Yeah, so we would flash our lights at each other because he would be going to work and I would be coming home.
And
That was it.
enough to keep you feeling happy?
Yeah, that was it. It's one of those things you just have to appreciate those little moments. I mean, dancing in the kitchen.
Oh, yeah.
Those are big. But I will say my mother-in-law, again, was amazing because we would be like, okay, we're coming. We're going to drop him off and go have dinner. She's like, come on, bring him. But she was one of those, like, you could leave him for days. She would be like, why are you calling? My baby's fine. So that was, I mean, we did that. But, yeah, that you do need to find your village. But we were fortunate we had a village.
Yeah, amen.
And when Dennis was on afternoon shift or midnight shift and I was on day shift, we wouldn't see each other. So we would just leave each other notes.
There you go.
And I still have them.
I bet you do. Are they in a scrapbook?
Unfortunately, no, but they are in my hope chest. I keep them in the cedar chest.
Yeah, I think that's great that you use the scrapbook. I don't have the patience for that. That means I have to sit, and focus. And
Yeah, my scrapbooking is once a year going, I like all these pictures. Let's send them to Shutterfly so they'll make a book. That's my scrapbooking,
God,
right?
yeah.
I'm not cutting them out anymore.
I may have to look at
But
that.
hey, look, the alternatives, right?
tip right there,
Hey,
actually.
what's one thing, like the funniest thing and I really should have thought before I did this and had you up here. What is the funniest thing your kid has ever done or taught you? Like maybe the funniest thing they've done in church. I know. You don't get to answer. No, I'm kidding.
I won't
Really should have thought
say-
this through.
I won't say in church, but the funniest thing that he did. He was in, I think it was kindergarten, and he didn't have a good day, but he didn't know he didn't have a good day.
Oh.
He was sent out of the classroom. He was not having a good day. And he tells me, I mean, he looks me dead in my eyes and said, "She didn't tell me that. I didn't know. I'm going back to the school to talk to her." She didn't say any of this. But he was so serious with his, and Ernest and I were looking at one another, and we were like, no, you can't go back to school. I mean, we couldn't even punish him. Because he was so serious. Like, she didn't say that. I was like, but you were put out of the class. He said, no, I went to visit this lady. Like, in his mind, he went, it was all the other things, but he was so genuine serious. He was going back to talk to this lady, and they were going to have a conversation.
Get this straight.
Right. Because I wasn't bad. I'm like, no.
Why does that not surprise me?
Right,
There you go.
right. But that was that moment of, so we had to learn to approach things.
Yeah.
Because he had no clue. Yeah, he had no clue what was going on. Like, she was wrong.
Anybody else?
She handed it to me.
Oh, all right. Well, my hands are tied. Right?
Oh, I could tell one about when you were in church. I mean, it may not be funny to anybody else, but anybody who knows me knows that I'm a little shy. When I used to do the piano over here, the grand piano, I kept the lid so that nobody could see me. And the first time I came in, the lid was down. I about had a heart attack.
That's true.
So the first time that Pastor Clark asked Sean to sing a song during offertory, I looked at him, I said, "Now, honey, if you get nervous, it's okay. Mama gets nervous all the time." Why would I get nervous? And I mean, he was pretty shy as a kid. So when he says,
Pretty shy.
why would I get nervous?
I still am. I don't know what I'm doing up here.
But you came up here, they handed you the microphone, you held the microphone, you put your other hand in your pocket, and you just sang like it was nothing. And I was like, how'd he do that? So.
Well, fair enough.
Should I? No.
Look, you tell what you want to tell. You got the microphone.
This one
dangerous.
I thought was just funny. He was in basketball in high school. He was in a private school. And their team was down. It was just about the end of the game. Mm-hmm. So his coach looks at him and he says, "Foul him." Because there was one guy that was always hitting all the shots. And he looked at him, he said, "Foul him." And so he went up to that kid and it just pushed him real hard. You know, he followed his instructions.
Apparently that's a thing in basketball. You get at the end of the game, you're supposed to foul him, but you're supposed to make it look like an accident, like, oh, I went for the ball. No one explained that to 10th grade Sean, okay? I thought you weren't supposed to foul people, and so they're yelling at me to foul from the bench, and it got me I didn't know what to do, so I just ran up and shoved him. They called a foul. It worked.
Well, I have recently been learning about the calm parenting method.
Oh.
Yeah, there's gentle parenting, which is totally different. I don't know that matches my style quite right. But calm parenting, we went to a homeschool convention and started learning about calm parenting in one of their little breakout sessions, and I didn't know I was missing it. And I was like, oh, this is going to change my life. Because apparently every time a mom loses her cool on her, like about anything, it takes your brain chemistry and throws all of your chemicals out of balance and takes your prefrontal cortex ability away, and you're thinking from some other part in the back. I forget what that was part called, but it takes you 20 minutes to pull out of a freak out. 20 minutes to recover before your body can get tricked into making dopamine and serotonin again so that you can be rational. And once I heard that, I was like, oh no, I have to do this. So I'm like, I get the book. Ben bought me the chart. He's like, if you think this will make your life better, I mean, you're pregnant, I'll just go for it. He buys me the whole set.
That's a good husband. Right
So it takes some training. And so we've been working on learning it, and you work with your kid to learn it. And so now you have to do a pre-teach, and it says, this is an instruction. And then you tell them what you want them to do. Zila's 4. She has started questioning about everything. Why? This, that, etc. When you tell her to do something. So now when I say this is an instruction, she knows, oh, this is an instruction. And she knows she has 2 options. to say, okay, and then immediately do it, or ask permission to disagree appropriately. So she comes up to me one time, and I told her, I said, hey, it's time to go sit on the potty. And she goes, permission to disagree, probably. And because, she was respectful. I was like, go for it, kid. The answer's not going to change, but go for it. She goes through her whole reasoning. And I was like, no, you still need to do what I told you to do. And she goes, disagreeing appropriately is so much better. I said, why do you say that? She goes, because you heard me, but I knew you were going to say no anyway.
That's good. All right, just a couple other quick questions, and I'll let you guys go. What's one thing that you wish you could tell your younger new mom self? And maybe you're still in that. Obviously, you're, about to be a new mom again. But if you could kind of go back and say, hey, this is the one thing, like just listen to this one piece of advice, this would be what I'd give you.
Perfection doesn't exist.
That is so true.
I wish someone had told me that.
Man, that's good.
I was so busy trying to cook every meal and find all the dust bunnies and all of that. And then Evan was telling somebody about some experience he had. And now looking back, he talks about the experiences, the laughs, the jokes, and all of that. But he doesn't talk about all the meals that I rushed home to cook. Mm-hmm. He doesn't talk about how many times I washed clothes or how many times I was dusting or whatever. And when I realized that, it changed everything about me. And I went, did my kid have a healthy, balanced meal 4 or 5 times a week? Check. Is he still alive? Check, check. Will I go to jail because of these things? Check, check. I'm good. And I think that changed everything. I'm a hot mess. I know I'm a hot mess. I embrace my hot messness. I'm never going to be perfect like that. And I was putting too much pressure on myself. And so now I'm going to wash those clothes. I may not fold those clothes, but I'm going to wash those clothes. And I realized those are the things that he wants to have. It's the experiences. To seeing you happy is what the kids want. Because when you're happy, you can pour into them.
That's right.
But if you're miserable, you can't pour into anybody. So you got to find what the balance is. And some days it means we are riding through that McDonald's drive-through and we're going to have a good time. The next night we may get a balanced meal and some vegetables. You just have to learn what works for you. But
that's right.
I think those are the things that I really realize. Make sure you take the moment with your kid. Have those moments. Sit down and talk with them and play with them and all of that. But when you're trying to reach perfection level, it doesn't exist. And the rest of us are looking at you like, whoa, slow down. Take a moment. Because you're going to burn out. And we're sitting here like, yeah, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. So pick your battles.
There you go.
Mine was almost like yours. Don't sweat the small stuff. Right. Life's just way too short. And, that's what's important, is loving those kids and pouring into those kids. And, oh my goodness, I didn't get the floor vacuumed, or I didn't get this done, or, tomorrow's another day. But yeah, try it again, but just don't sweat the small stuff, because it goes really fast. So.
Awesome.
I don't know if that's one I can feed into.
Fair enough.
Somebody had told me that you will be behind on dishes, though, no matter what.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, dishes never get done. Dishes never get done.
It doesn't really matter. They're going to be there anyway.
That's true. I appreciate you guys taking the time to share your perspective, and your wisdom. I think it's important for us to hear from each other. And although I've had a mom my entire life, I'm not a mom. And you guys go through things that I have no idea about. Even if it's the same experience, it's a little different from mom's perspective. And so I'm very, very grateful for you guys for taking your time, and I'm grateful for you guys, the moms that are here, for everything that you do.